Notice. Yeah. And live and minutes. Got 2 minutes to 6. All right, I got 6 o'clock, so that means it's time for Hour of Power. See, I'm here, Marilyn's here, and most importantly, Barbara McCloud is here to talk about mental health. So take it away, Barbara.
Good evening. Good evening. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. I am so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you all about mental health. And specifically, my topic this evening is guarding my mental health. So I'd first like to start off by thanking Bishop Brailsford and First Lady Brailsford and the entire Worship Center family for inviting me this evening to talk on this very important topic, I always like to kind of open with a little icebreaker, if you will. I believe we have a few people logged on. So just kind of want you to tell me a little something, a little fun fact about yourself. And of course, I will go first. A little fun fact about myself is that I played the B flat clarinet from elementary school all the way through college. And I was even able to get not only an academic scholarship, but a band scholarship. So played B flat clarinet from elementary school through college. So does someone feel comfortable tonight? Just we're doing this to kind of loosen up a little bit. We are kind of talking about a serious topic. So kind of loosen up a little bit, break the ice. Someone would like to tell us a fun fact about themselves tonight?
Well, let's see. I played bass guitar and trombone and banjo. So we got a band going now.
All right. Love it. Love my music. And music is so therapeutic. It helps you to definitely unwind, especially at the end of a busy day like I had today.
I know sometimes when I'm depressed and I'll play music and just because I'm having to think and play, I can't think about what's depressing me anymore.
That's right. That is totally true. And even though we're kind of talking about maybe a secular topic, but biblically, that is in the Bible. When people would play certain instruments, certain spirits, whatever would be driven away from them, and their continence would be better. So,
raise the joyous note.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say my last name is Strong, and I have 3 brothers. We each play an instrument. And when we were growing up, we had a band called Strong Inspiration.
Love it. Strong Inspiration. I love it. Anyone else would like to share a fun fact about themselves this evening?
I listen to him play. I'm his wife. So I don't play. I played B flat clarinet in school, but I don't play anymore. So I listen to him.
Okay, excellent. All right. So we have anyone else that would like to share a fun fact about themselves this evening?
Hi, it's Veronica in Georgia. I guess I'll let you guys see my face here. Fun fact, I too played the clarinet from elementary, middle school, high school. But I was also a basketball and softball star, so I went more towards the athletic and stopped playing, but love music. But that's the fun fact about me. I'm an athletic person, actually getting ready to teach a water aerobics class coming up next week. I'll start teaching water aerobics.
Awesome. Something else. And we're going to talk about that self-care tonight. So that is awesome. We got a lot of music lovers on here. One more person, and then we're going to delve into this awesome topic tonight. Anyone else want to share a fun fact? Okay. If not, then just to tell you a little more about my background as far as education and training, I attended, got my undergraduate degree from Kentucky State University in Frankfort, Kentucky. Alumni, played in the band there, of course. And I majored in actually criminal justice, and I had a double minor in English and sociology. And my grad degree, which I obtained a Master of Social Work degree from Clark Atlanta University. So right there in Atlanta. So is where I got the bulk of my social work training. And as I said before, I have well over 2 decades of experience in the field, working with some children and adolescents, family, abuse and neglect. I did juvenile justice for a good portion of my career, almost 10 years, and some severe, working with severe mentally ill persons. And now I'm in a medical clinic setting where some of my patients have been diagnosed with HIV. Some are teens, but mainly are the children I normally would refer out. So mainly I service adults. Okay, so again, welcome. I'm so thankful that you all tuned in, logged on with us on this evening. So we're going to move forward. If I could get that next slide. This slide here, when I think about this slide, when you look, you see the ladies joining hands, kind of in a circle, seem like they're kind of in tune with one another, kind of maybe even meditating. And what I thought about was community. I thought about community, and that's one thing that I do want to bring out tonight. In our society, especially talking about the US, we tend to be very individualistic, kind of focusing on me, what's going on with me. Oftentimes we get so consumed with us that we even forget to think about, wonder what my neighbor may be going through. And even so, with this pandemic, it has forced us to really take a look not only at ourselves, things that are going on with us, but even our neighbor. So many things have been brought out because of this and brought into the spotlight, specifically mental health. So things that people may have been struggling with, maybe even in silence. Once this pandemic hit, it really, really shed the light even brighter on certain things and caused us to have to take a closer look and to even look at ourselves and even talking about like the government, things that they should do, monies need to be poured more into servicing those that are struggling. Okay, next slide, please. So we don't like to just shoot darts in the dark. We want to be focused, very focused. So I do believe in goals, all right? So the goals tonight, one is for you to walk away with an understanding tonight, okay? An understanding of the difference between mental health and mental illness. There is a difference. Number two, want you all to walk away with an understanding of what factors can negatively impact your mental health. There are a lot of factors that can negatively impact your mental health. Number three, for participants to learn when and how to seek professional help. So it would all be in vain if I just talked tonight and did not give you any kind of resources. So you are going to get some resources tonight. All right. Number four, for participants to walk away with practical tools. All right. I could throw a lot of theory at you and talk about Freud and all of that, but I want you to walk away with some practical tools, some things that you can actually put in place tonight. Okay. That you can utilize in the maintaining of your mental health. So let's move on to some definitions. Okay. So in the title of my presentation tonight, we're talking about guarding my mental health, okay? So when we think about guarding, even your homes, we have alarm systems, we have cameras, all of that. And that is to do what? To protect what's on the inside, okay? From anything external coming in, okay? So we want to protect our mental health, protect our minds, okay? That's the first definition I want you to keep in mind tonight, okay? And then mental health. Sometimes people think they know what mental health is, but according to health.gov, okay? When we think about mental health, really easy. I want you to think about three things, okay? All right. It's our emotions, your thinking, and your behavior, okay? So, or you can say emotions or feelings, okay? Feelings, thinking, and behavior. It's that simple. That encompasses your mental health, all right? The psychological, the social, okay? How you're getting along with other people in your household, your coworkers, friends, neighbors, that person in the grocery store, and our behavior. How are we acting, right? Next slide. Mental illness, okay? When you think of mental illness, that definition, okay? You're looking at a serious disturbance in behavior and thinking. So that's totally different from mental health, okay? Your mental health is just talking about, it encompasses, your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors. But someone who is dealing with a mental illness, that's a condition, all right? Where you're looking at a serious disturbance in your behavior and your thinking, okay? All right. So we're going to move on, and we will take questions throughout, okay? We will take questions throughout. So as we see from our definitions, mental health and mental illness, both of those terms are different. So you can have challenges with your mental health, but not necessarily be diagnosed with a mental illness, such as bipolar disorder, where you have highs and lows, schizophrenia, that is an abnormal interpretation of reality, or to put it very simply, someone who's had a break in reality, okay? They're not dealing with reality. And then major depression, okay? Persistent, ongoing sadness and loss of interest in doing things, which the psychological term is anhedonia, for loss of interest. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna look at some statistics. I'm not gonna bore you with a whole lot, but just some things that we should know and kind of keep in mind, okay? Per the CDC.gov website, did you know that mental illnesses are among the most common health conditions in the US? I'm going to say that again. Mental illnesses are among the most common health conditions in the US. All right. Some more statistics for you. More than 50%, talking about the US, will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their lifetime. Okay, so that kind of should take away the stigma. When we talk about the stigma, sometimes when people think about folks who are challenged with their mental health, oh, that person is crazy. You don't use that word. Oh, they're nuts. No, they're automatically going to be violent. You better stay away from them. I heard they were depressed or what have you. That's not necessarily true. That's what we call stigma. We don't want to stigmatize folks. And it could very well be someone in your household, your coworker, your best friend. That's a high number there, more than 50%. All right, we're moving on with our statistics. Did you know 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year? That is quite startling. So if you think of 5 of your friends, okay, from research, looks like 1 of your friends out of the 5 will potentially experience a mental illness in a given year. All right. Some more statistics regarding children. 1 in 5 children, either currently or at some point during their lifetime, have had a seriously debilitating mental illness. 1 in 5 children. When we say debilitating, that is when something is just bothering you so, or has taken a hold of you, that it's hard for you to go about your daily tasks, school, being able to connect with other people. Maybe it disturbs your appetite. Not being able to be social like you normally would. It's just grabbed a hold of you and you are not able to function like you normally would. Okay, some more statistics for you. 1 in 25 Americans lives with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. Okay. So, any questions so far before we look at some causes of mental illness? Any questions? Okay. So we will move on. So some causes of mental illness. And if you all have been following maybe some of the trends in medicine or mental health, a lot of talk now is about early adverse events. Okay. And what that is harmful events like physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and those events happen during childhood. Okay, talking about causes of mental illness. Substance abuse. I don't know if maybe some of you have heard of, for instance, drug-induced psychosis. Maybe you may have some family members or just some people that you know, they were doing perfectly well, seemed like their mental health was fine, no issues. But unfortunately, they went to a party where someone slipped something in their drink or something. And sometimes you'll hear people say they've never been the same since they went to that party and someone offered them a joint or something and they didn't know, and that joint was laced with something. And now they're experiencing psychosis. And psychosis is a break from reality. Sometimes people are experiencing, they're hearing voices, no one's around, they're hearing voices in their mind, maybe saying some demeaning things, what we call commanding hallucinations. They're hearing voices that are commanding them to do certain things. Isolation. This is a biggie. We're, again, in this pandemic, and you're going to hear me refer to that a lot because this pandemic has brought out a lot. We've been in isolation because of COVID-19, trying to remain safe indoors, trying to obey whatever rules have come down from the governor or whomever, and just trying to remain safe. And in that isolation, it's caused, I know, a lot of our young people to experience depression, to experience anxiety. We've had some astronomical numbers as far as young people making attempts on their lives. So isolation is huge. People who have been incarcerated, if they are put in isolation, put in the hole for days on end, weeks on end. Some patients that I have dealt with over the years, clients I've dealt with over the years who have been incarcerated for years, they have experienced mental health issues. They are, experiencing hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there because of that isolation. And they experience a break in reality. Okay, chronic medical conditions. That's another cause, something that, well, how can a chronic medical condition? Well, if a person has a TBI, traumatic brain injury, that can cause oftentimes a person to experience major depressive disorder. So things go on with the brain has been jarred, they've been in a car accident or something like that, and it can cause them to go into a depressed state. I think of another medical condition, diabetes. Sometimes patients who are diabetic, they can experience depression as well. Okay, any questions thus far? Okay, so we're going to move on. Now, there are various factors that can negatively impact mental health. Again, with the pandemic, financial strain, a lot of people experience this, and it can cause stress, cause anxiety. Sometimes people can have so much stress that they're under that they start experiencing panic attacks. What is What are panic attacks? When a person has this overwhelming sense of danger. It could may not necessarily be something that that could actually happen. Maybe sometimes it could be even exaggerated, but because maybe they don't have the coping skills to deal at that time, maybe they don't have anyone to talk to. Sometimes people can have a full out panic attack. They start hyperventilating. They get nervous. They feel like almost like they're about to die. Okay. So a lot of people have been under a lot of financial strain with the closing of businesses, jobs folding. Okay. Family and marriage discord. Okay. Can sometimes cause people to experience a major depressive disorder. They've been married so many years, and then all of a sudden that spouse is no longer there. It's like a death. Divorce can be, you experience grief, okay? Because you're dealing with grief, it's grief and loss. So, sometimes when you're dealing with really, really messy divorces, if you will, maybe the children are caught in the middle, and then maybe a parent can't see the child like they normally would. It can cause a significant amount of stress and anxiety, therefore negatively impacting someone's mental health. Trauma. And when we were mentioning before about adverse childhood experiences, trauma, that's sexual abuse, emotional abuse. Also, trauma, it could be someone was in a car accident. I've heard of like children, of course, when they're younger, riding their bikes, and maybe someone driving a car isn't paying attention, and they run into that child. That's significant trauma. Okay. Relocating. All right. That can bring about a lot of stress. Starting a new job, you got to find a new place, trying to figure out, how you're going to get things accomplished. A toxic work environment. This is a biggie. Toxic work environment can definitely have a bearing on someone's mental health. Can cause you to be stressed out, experience anxiety, difficulty sleeping, eating. So when we are looking, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but when we are mental health professionals, when we're diagnosing, we look at how certain things, certain stressors are negatively impacting a person's activities of daily living, or ADLs, those who may be in the mental health profession, or you may have heard your nurse or doctor say ADLs, that's activities of daily living. So how, because one person, and everyone is different, one person can be in a toxic work environment and they maybe deal with it maybe through prayer, or they work out a lot. So they have healthy outlets to deal with the stressors, okay? But a toxic work environment can, if you're not careful and you don't have the right tools to use, the right outlets, it can cause persons to deal with anxiety, stress, have breakdowns, things of that nature. We've already talked about isolating. So we're going to move on. Any questions at this time? Comments? I welcome comments. Okay.
You can type them in the box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask them if you have a question.
Definitely. So I hope this is helpful to you all tonight. I hope this information is helpful. So what are some signs, you may ask, that mental health treatment might be needed? Okay, so we're going to get into some signs. Okay. Remember, I talked about how things are negatively impacting you on a daily basis. Next slide, please. Okay, stressors, right? So if stressors are negatively impacting your activities of daily living, which include like eating, sleeping, work, and getting along with others, okay? If you once got 8 hours of sleep, but because of this toxic work environment, day after day, month after month, now you may sleep a couple of hours and then you're up. okay? You having a loss of appetite, okay? And then we're gonna look at the next slide. So not only are we looking at how things are negatively impacting your activities of daily living, but are your symptoms excessive? Okay. Are you sad more days than not? Okay. Are you nervous more days than not? Are you having difficulty thinking? Is it hard for you to stay focused? All right. Definitely, if you're out of touch with the reality, if someone is hearing voices or seeing things that aren't there. Okay. Are you having feelings of self-harm? And we're not going to legislate any morality tonight, but say, for instance, some people may think, drink wine or what have you, but say you only drank at social events, but because of the overwhelming stress that you're dealing with on your job, now you are drinking wine, 3 or 4 glasses several nights a week. So we're looking at things in excess, okay? And next, how long has this been going on, okay? So when we're making mental health diagnosis, we're looking at how are the stressors negatively impacting one's activities of daily living. We look at how excessive this is, and then how long has it been going on? So for instance, a diagnosis for major depressive disorder, we look at for 14 days, has a person been experiencing, say, for instance, a loss of interest. And when you all go for your physical exams every year, your doctor or medical assistant should be having you complete what's called a PHQ-9 or patient health questionnaire, okay? And on that questionnaire, it will ask you over the past 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by the following? Loss of interest in doing things, feeling down, depressed, problems with sleep, feeling tired, having little energy, poor appetite, overeating, difficulty concentrating, being fidgety, and definitely any thoughts that you'd be better off dead of harm to yourself. So if, and the DSM, or the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, is what mental health professionals use. That's our Bible, if you will. That's what we utilize to diagnose mental disorders. So there's certain criteria that have to be met within a certain time frame, things of that nature. And so many boxes have to be checked off before a mental health professional can say, okay, this person, their diagnosis is major depressive disorder. This person's diagnosis is paranoid schizophrenia, so on and so forth. Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay.
So mainly I'm looking at things that I can't explain that last a long time.
Say that again, sir.
So basically I'm looking for things that don't really have a cause that are lasting a long time. Like someone cuts me off on my way home from work and I lose sleep tonight, but I wake up tomorrow and I don't remember it and I don't really care. That's probably okay.
Yeah.
I'm still stressed out about it 3 weeks later. Something's not right.
Yes.
And I should probably get it checked out.
Yes, it's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay.
And the first thing you want to do is you want to always start with your primary care professional. Always start your primary care doctor. Okay. Because he or she, that's where you start, because that's the professional, the medical professional that knows you, okay, knows your history, all right, because they would be the ones to maybe give you a referral, all right, so always start there. Another thing, when we are making diagnosis, what we do first is you want to rule out anything physical. So you remember, rule out, if it's a physical health issue. Like for instance, folks who suffer from anemia, okay? if they, and say their doctor has them on taking iron pills, but they're not taking the iron pills like they're supposed to. So they're sluggish, they don't know what's going on. Oh, I'm down all the time, whatever. And maybe as soon as they start back to taking their iron pills, you know, after a couple of weeks, so, oh, I'm back to myself or whatever. But certain physical health problems can cause you to feel as if you maybe are suffering from maybe depression or things of that nature. So one thing that I do want to bring out is that mental health and physical health go hand in hand. Healthy body, healthy mind. Okay. So any other, did I answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I probably went off on a tangent. Hey, I'm a social worker. I talk a lot. So that's what I do for a living. I talk. Okay. So we're going to move on if there are no other comments or questions. Okay. Hope this is helpful. We're moving on. So ways to guard your mental health. All right. So we talked about the definition of mental health versus mental illness. Okay. But I would be remiss to totally end this talk tonight and not tell you about some ways that you can guard your own mental health. And then we're going to get into how you can help someone else, okay? Because the first picture that we saw, we talked about community, right? A lot of times we're so into ourselves, individualistic society. We've got to get away from that. The pandemic has shown us, I am my brother's keeper, okay? If someone needs food or whatever, and you have a little extra, we got to get back to how things used to be back in the day to help one another. All right. So ways to guard our mental health. Let's go. Shoot. All right. So I got a long list here, but there's so many more things, but these are some things that definitely stood out to me and things that I kind of hammer in during my individual sessions and I talk to my patients about and or clients, depending upon what setting I'm in. Eat a well-balanced diet. Okay, you remember I said that your physical health and your mental health, they go hand in hand. One definitely impacts the other, all right? We need a balanced diet. We need fruit, we need vegetables, we need lean meats. Next, we need plenty of water, all right? Often, 8 ounces, especially if you are doing any type of exercise. If you're exercising, you want to drink water before, during, and after your workout, okay? Before, during, and after. But the water does what? It replenishes our body. It helps with our muscles. It helps to any toxins that are in our body. It rids the body of toxins. And the more water you drink, the better you feel. You just feel better. But when you get dehydrated, you feel sluggish, you're fatigued, you don't want to do anything, okay? Next, keep your appointments for all your annuals. Keep all of your annuals. There's certain things, and talk to your primary care physician. There's certain annuals that women need, certain annuals that men need, but we all need a physical once a year, every twice a year, every 6 months. You need to go to the dentist, okay? Every 2 years, you get your glasses, your eyes. Take care of your physical body. You must do that. One impacts the other, okay? During the day, we need brief meditation periods, okay? If you have your breaks, those of us, some are still working from home or what have you, you need a break. If you're working from home, you got to somehow disconnect, go outside, go for a walk, sit on the porch, disconnect from these devices, and I'm going to get on these devices. And if you're not careful, your cell phone can make you anxious. Every other, second, you're checking your phone. Oh, do I have an email? Oh, the phone is you have to cut these things off, right? Cut them off. So there's some apps that are really good though. There's the Calm app. YouTube has so many videos for like meditation, 2 hours of ocean waves, outdoor sounds, things of that nature, whatever works for you to put you in a calm state, use it, right? So how does sleep impact our mental health? Huge, huge. We need, and different people are different. Some people may only need, say, 6 hours or whatever, but ideally between 6 to 8 hours. If you do not get proper sleep, you cannot think well. It causes you to be irritable, groggy, okay? Things of that nature. It can impact your behavior, how you get along with others, cause you to lash out. Sleep is important. Our cells, things are reproducing, and what during our sleep, we need our sleep. Also, it could cause you to gain weight. Not getting enough sleep, and you're doing this for a long period of time, it could negatively impact, weight. It can cause weight gain. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So we want to exercise at least 3 days per week. Okay, at least 3 days per week for at least 30 minutes. Okay. And always check with your primary care physician first, because they know what, if you've had any injuries, or, what you can take, what you cannot take. So always start with your primary care physician to make sure it's okay. Maybe start off with walking, okay? Because when we care about our knees, jogging, after so long, hitting that pavement and, things of that nature that can have, a bearing on your knees. So, but exercise is walking rather, is the best exercise, and it's free. How about that? You don't have to worry about a gym membership for that, okay? Limit exposure to news media, okay? At the height of the pandemic, I had to cut it off. I had to say, you know what? And this was for me. I said, I'm going to watch the news only maybe 2 days a week. That was me, because it was getting to be too much, constantly looking at the COVID numbers and all of that. You get to the point, I'm nervous, I'm anxious. I'm like, no, can't do it. I sometimes try, lately I've been trying to, watch a little bit of news in the morning when I'm getting my outfit ready for work or what have you. But if the first 2 or 3 news stories are about who got shot, no ma'am, no sir, I'm cutting it off. Why? Because I have to protect my mind, protect my peace. And when we're talking about guarding our mental health, you, okay? You know yourself. You know what makes you anxious. You know what makes you jittery, okay? You have to do what's best for you. Sometimes people want to call you and they want to talk to you about a bunch of bad news, things of that nature. These phones, last time I checked, they have an on and off button, okay? Or you can hit the, call you later, whatever. Guarding your mental health, all right? And we can jump down a little bit. Toxic people. Some people, we love them. They can even be our family members. We love them, but they are toxic in their ways. What do you mean by toxic, Ms. McCloud? Meaning they have a negative outlook on everything. There's always a negative spin on something. If you're trying to do something positive, maybe they don't have anything to say about it. They want to bring up things in the past, negative things. Toxic people, manipulative, want to make you feel bad for saying, no, I can't do this. So we love people, but sometimes, as the old adage says, sometimes you have to love people with a long-handled spoon. Meaning, some patients that I've dealt with and in their treatment plan, and what a treatment plan is basically the goals that the client and the therapist are working on. Why did you come to my door? What is it that you need me to help you with? Say, for instance, the client's goal is to better manage or to gain coping skills to deal with my anxiety, say, for instance. So maybe on there is that they're going to have to limit their time that they spend with their sibling because their sibling is toxic. Okay, so I'm not telling you to throw auntie away. I'm not telling, and as quiet as it's kept, sometimes parents can be toxic, overbearing, even as you're an adult, and maybe the parent is very opinionated and make you feel like you can't do anything right or what have you. You do have the right to guard your mental health by possibly saying, okay, you know what? I gotta check on mom and dad. I gotta check on them. I love them. I really do with all my heart. But if I stay in their presence too long, at some point something's gonna be said. I'm gonna be verbally attacked or just whatever it is. So you may have to say, you know what? I've noticed, history has shown that after 1 hour, it's time to go. Okay. The Thanksgiving dinners, the backyard, the Memorial Day parties, whatever. You have to make a conscientious decision about you, about your peace of mind, your mental health. We're talking about guarding, protecting your mental health. If you know after 60 minutes, there's going to be drama, then after 45 minutes, you go around, you make your rounds, you say, oh, wonderful time. Oh, that potato salad was awesome. I appreciate you all. Got to get ready to go. Okay? Guard your mental health. My favorite, and anyone that knows me, I love to laugh. You need to laugh every day. Deep, hearty laugh, even if it's at yourself. Guys, we need to laugh. There's so much coming at us by the way of, what's going on with the pandemic crime, what's going on in Washington, just so much. Not even talking about those of us that are parents. Our children have been doing learning at home. You're happy trying to help them, trying to stay on task. It's been a stressful year. It's been just a lot of stress. You need to laugh. Turn on some of those old shows, those old comedies that made you laugh or what have you. Do that. Do what you need. Those friends. So the flip side of toxic folks, I'm sure you got some good friends. People who think about that friend that I don't care what's going on, how down you feel. If you call them before you get off that phone, you're going to be in stitches. That's the person you want to be around. Okay? Questions, comments? I'll put something in the chat. Anyone? Am I missing any questions or comments in the chat? Okay. When we were talking about sleep, the importance of sleep, someone said, I'm really irritable when tired. Definitely. You can't think. You have to get rejuvenated. That mind has to rest. When we were talking about the media, someone says, I had to do the same, meaning, limiting exposure. It became overwhelming. I still don't watch the news that much anymore. I'm with you. I am with you. And then someone else says, me too. Stop watching the news. I only have the weather and traffic come up on my phone. I check it for planning. Other than that, I'll pull up anything that I need to read. Excellent, excellent. Guarding that mental health. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I left a comment about being irritable when I'm tired. I think that I get enough rest, but anytime I get tired, I usually just kind of excuse myself from being around others because I'm like, I know what type of mood I'm gonna be in. But that was not the question that I had. The question that I had was, so I tend to be that friend or family member who my friends lean on me a lot. Like I'm the one that they're like, oh, I can always call her and get, in a better mood, or she'll always give me a good word, and so that I have found that causes me to kind of be drained a lot. And so, but I do have a hard time kind of like cutting it off or being like, hey, I don't have time, because I'm like, well, if they really need me, I always just kind of say, well, God will give me the grace, or, to continue on. But as I'm getting older, I do realize that it takes a huge toll on me. So I'm just wondering, from, maybe in your opinion, maybe a good way to handle that.
Sure, sure. Have you ever heard of the adage, you cannot pour from an empty cup?
Yes, I have heard that. Yes.
And basically what that means is you can't give people what you don't have yourself. Okay. Well, we talked about ways to guard your mental health. You have to say no. That's something I didn't read off the list, but if you see on this list here, you have to sometimes say no. Also, and I know we don't want to be mean, but I talked about you do not have to answer every call. Okay. Also, boundaries. Set a time limit. Okay. Okay. So my friend needs me. I know she's going through a hard time. You may need to only talk to that friend for 15 minutes. And I know it may sound like you're being petty Betty, but you have to what? Guard your mental health. Okay. So maybe you talk to them and you let them know up front, hey, how you doing? Okay, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I got to get ready to take care of something. And you don't always have to give everyone an explanation for everything. Okay. You don't. You know what? We can talk for a few minutes, but I gotta go. I gotta go. And you look at your phone, and when it's 14 minutes and whatever seconds, you know what? I don't know if you're a woman of faith or whatever. You know what? Let's have a word of prayer. How about we have a word of prayer? Then I gotta go. We have to not always be available for everyone. A lot of times we show up for everyone else but ourselves. So everyone else has all their needs met, be it mom, dad, spouse, children, your coworkers, your boss. Everyone else, we've shown up for everyone else but ourselves. So my recommendation, you have to set very clear boundaries. You do not have to answer every phone call, okay? And set time limits. You cannot, I'm sorry, I'm not saying to say this to someone, but no one can have all of my time. They can't.
Okay. Thank you. That was very helpful.
No problem. Any other questions or comments before we move further? I do want to be mindful of the time. Okay. Ooh, time flies when you're having fun. Okay, next slide, please. So ways to guard someone else's mental health. Remember I said in the beginning, we want to think community. I am my brother's keeper, okay? So some things that we want to do. How can we look out for others when it comes to their mental health? Let's pay attention. Again, we're so engrossed in what's going on with us. Changes in behavior. If you know a person normally, they come to work every day, they're normally on time, and then all of a sudden something flips and they're running late more days than not. Their appearance is different. They're coming in, hair is disheveled. They used to be kind of, would sit in the break room and eat when we can social distance or whatever. Now they're isolated. Okay, pay attention to those things. It may or may not be something, but just pay attention. Okay. If you see something that looks just totally out of the ordinary, totally just weird and not right, if you see something, say something. Okay. Tell people the truth in love. Offer to help or provide encouragement. Okay. And you have to do this with wisdom, because I know we don't want to make people mad. Oh, you think I'm crazy just because. So we definitely want to tread lightly, but offer and encourage, hey, you know what? I got this resource, or hey, you put it on me, put it on Miss McCloud. You know what? Miss McCloud said such and such and such. And you know what? She gave me these resources or whatever. If you know anybody that can use these resources here, in the back of your mind, I know you can use them, but you're not going to say that, okay? Hey, you know what? I went to this, heard this talk, and I got some very good information, and I've been sharing it with a lot of people. Let me share this with you. So there's a way you can use some ways you can use some wisdom to give people resources to help them out without stepping on their toes or making them feel like, oh, something's wrong with me, okay? I do want to point this out. In a crisis, what is a crisis? Mental health crisis. Someone is threatening to harm themselves or others. They're just having an emotional breakdown, excessive crying, and just cannot calm down. I'm not saying they're just shedding some tears, going through a little something, getting something off their chest. But if they are excessively crying and you cannot calm them down, that may very well be a mental health emergency, okay? And someone needs to step in. Now, when you're dealing with things like hallucinations, hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there, something you do not do is you do not try to convince someone who is psychotic or they're having delusions. They think that they're, I don't know, Donald Trump, or they think they're Jay-Z, okay? Don't tell them that they aren't that person that they're claiming to be. This could very well backfire, okay? So call EMS, all right? And let them know, hey, something is going on with this person, and they just do not seem to be themselves. And I want to make sure that they are safe and that the people around them are safe, okay? And then lastly, resources, okay? So if you are employed, we all have an HR department, okay? Use your HR department. If you're going through some things and you say, you know what, some of these things Ms. McCloud talked about tonight, I think I could use the help of a mental health professional. Go right to your human resources department and ask them about the employee assistance program, okay? A lot of times with the EAP program, you can get about 5 sessions for each individual problem, okay? But each place of work, each employer may be different, so just talk to them, all right? I do have the National Suicide Hotline noted, 24 hours, okay? Something else I wanted to make sure you all knew about, Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. They have a website where you can take a free anonymous mental health screening, okay? No one knows it's you. You can take, go to this website, www.dwihn.org, okay? You can take the free anonymous mental health screening, and I would advise you to maybe print it out and take it to your primary care, your physician, primary care physician, if there are some things that, because it would let you know after you've done the screening, they'll let you know if there's some areas of concern, okay? For those with private insurance, refer to the back of your insurance card for behavioral health services. For those who may have Medicaid, I've listed the community mental health lines, 24-hour lines for each, for several counties: Wayne, Macomb, Oakland, St. Clair, Livingston, and Washtenaw. Okay, so hopefully these resources you all maybe can do a screenshot of and just keep it on hand, because why? You never know when someone may be in need, okay? So remember, I want you all to keep in mind, you can't pour from an empty cup. Laugh, limit your social media. By all means, do what you need to do to guard your mental health. And any last questions? Because we're almost at our time mark.
I have one. This is Veronica in Atlanta. When you were speaking about, someone else's mental health and helping someone else, and I see you listed the EAP. Where I'm noticing that in the workplace with COVID going on, and we were essential workers, a young man there was having a breakdown. I was about to leave that day, and someone said he had passed out on the floor. First, I thought it was a medical emergency, but it was mental health. He wouldn't speak, but I got his pad because he's always drawing. So he began to write out everything that he was going through. So immediately I recognized that there were some things going on, and the supervisor was standing, and he had scissors and box cutters on the lift. And as I'm talking, I'm picking up the items, putting it in my pocket, assessing the surrounding, and then began to, speak to him where he would write out what he was going through. And I eventually, you tell me if this was correct. I asked him, how many days have you missed? And he gave me 3 fingers, telling me that he had missed taking his medication. So I knew what it meant, but should have asked that. But then I did have to go to the GM and report it to let them know. And by the way, tomorrow is my last day on that job. And I saw the young man today, which we did refer him to the EAP. His mom works for the company, but in a different site. So my GM is like, what are we going to do when you leave, Miss Veronica? I was like, I gave them a list of things, because he gets very over anxious and it excites him. So they had one person already transferred because they were the one that was kept inciting him. But what do we do, especially in workplace with all of the workplace violence that's going on, and we cannot not employ people that have mental health issues. What do we do, in these places where we may notice that someone is going through some breakdowns? I myself called EAP, just to let them know that we had someone on site that was having some issues and they needed to maybe come take them through some training, because my last day is tomorrow. And, I can't run 25 miles away to go because I'm the only one, not even his mother. He'll only come down for me and was sick. I can walk him, but, just want to know so that when I leave, I can leave them some tips on what they need to do.
Well, definitely, they want to take, and I know you're in a different state, but they want to take the emergency mental health training. So that needs to be done like ASAP. It's good that he has someone that he has a rapport with. Is there maybe someone else maybe that you can identify, or that management can identify who has a good rapport with him, that if he's maybe having a bad day, kind of check in or what have you? Definitely, you did an awesome job. And everything is about rapport. Remember, I talked about community. Okay. We have to be concerned about other people. Evidently, you smiled at him. You showed concern even before this crisis. So yes, sometimes just having a rapport with people, and you don't have to be in their face all the time. They don't have to know all of your business or whatever, but just if we can identify maybe someone else that has a good rapport with him, that if by chance he's having a bad day, that, that person maybe can be identified as, as someone you can talk to. But definitely HR definitely needs to, be aware and stay aware, and maybe they need to possibly determine if the job that he's doing or that particular area, and I think you said that they moved him from a certain area, because depending upon the person's diagnosis, certain things can be triggers, okay? Especially if you're dealing with people who are not sensitive to people's mental health. You remember we talked about stigma. Sometimes, there's stigma there, things of that nature. But so hopefully he is getting his treatment. We do have to be careful because with HIPAA and things of that nature, everyone shouldn't be knowing about all of his, mental health issues. But definitely HR definitely needs to step in, management, and just make sure that he has access to resources. Okay. Did I answer your question?
It did, identifying that person. And I actually, already started going through the building, seeing who that he had a report. And you were correct. It was long before this incident happened that he would come by my office. If he passed 12 times a day, he would stop in to speak. Yeah. So it was something he had already identified in me. And then the manager was like, how did you know what to do? I've had some training. I did about 30 hours, here in Georgia with mental health. Did not go and assess them, but just getting the treatment, the programs to put them in. So it had done some work.
First aid. I'm sorry, it just came to me. Mental health first aid. I know here that's the training that we have a lot of folks take, especially in the workplace. So mental health first aid training.
Thank
So if
you.
there's something that's in alignment with that, if HR can get on that ASAP.
Okay, I'll definitely pass that over.
Mental health first aid. Yep. So I do want to be obedient. It is 7 o'clock. I wanted to do a hard stop at 7.
Can you lightly go over cell phone abuse, addiction? Cell phone addiction.
Okay. I'll put it simply. If a person cannot keep their phone away from them for a certain amount of time, yeah, you may very well have a problem. If you constantly have to check your messages.
Look at me.
Yes, and I forget what they said the term was. I was reading this the other day. A lot of us, when we leave our phone at home, it's almost like folks are about to literally have a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are so attached to these phones. So how can I say this? If a person cannot go several hours without their phone, okay, then they very well may have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that is indicative of someone who may be depressed. Sometimes people are lonely, and you'd be surprised. Sometimes these video games and things like that, that's a person's friend. So again, back to community, back to not isolating, back to having people to call on, someone to talk to. So in what context did you want to know, like when should a person, do they need therapy for it, or what do you mean?
Well, what do you think? Because, I know people that do this and they're constantly on their phone. They can't put it down while they're eating. They can't put it down anytime.
And some of it is the culture. Okay. Now I will tell you this. I don't know if you're dealing with an adult or a teen or whatever, but if an adult, okay, well, it could be several things. I want to be careful. I want to tread lightly when I say this. Sometimes it's used for avoidance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it could be avoidance. So that's when we got to kind of communicate, find out what's going on. But say, for instance, if you're dealing with a teen and you say, okay, we got to take your phone. This is family time. This is whatever. And they literally lose it. I mean, crying, everything else or whatever, then yeah, there's some things that need to be talked about and looked at. Not necessarily saying they need to see a therapist, but some communication needs to go on. What's going on? Is this device your friend?
Mm-hmm.
Are you lonely? What is going on here? Are you avoiding? It could be different things. Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. So, Mr. Carey, I do want to be respectful of the time.
I just want to point out that this resource list is in the chat. If you want to copy it and paste it out, people can do that. I'll leave this open so people can get it. I've got Barbara's email is in there, and if you want to message me, I can send it to you too. So if you're on Facebook or Yahoo or YouTube, just message me and I'll get you this if you need it.
Right. I did want to say in my email, it's all lowercase letters. So just so that there's not a...
Oops.
That's okay. No problem. And I want to give a round of applause to the awesomest. I'm just going to come up with a word. Awesomest IT guy ever. Thank you so much, Carrie, for your help tonight. I appreciate you. And thank you again to Bishop Brailsford and First Lady and entire Worship Center staff for allowing me to speak on this important topic tonight.
He messaged and said he was sorry he couldn't be here, but something came up. So we're glad that you were here, Barbara. And that was an awesome presentation. I think we all got a lot from that.
That's awesome. Can I ask just one thing before you go? Do you have a resource for Christian therapists?
I do, but what area are you in?
I'm in Detroit area, east
In
side.
Detroit. East side, okay. The one person that I have in mind, I don't think they're paneled so I think they are out of pocket. Would that be a problem?
No,
That would not be a problem for you? I'm sorry, I didn't hear your response. You
no,
said
that
yes?
would not be a problem.
That would not be a problem? Okay, sure. I'll put that in the chat for you. And you just said a Christian therapist, right?
Correct.
Okay, sure. I'm going to drop that just one moment. Okay, I got to spell right here tonight. While I'm typing this in, a quick question before we close out or comment.
I had a question if you can respond quickly. What are your thoughts on the whole like video game world and what that is like the impact that that might have on mental health?
Mm-hmm. Some things can become compulsive. Some things can negatively impact how we socialize, especially with our young people. Sometimes you can put some of these young people in a social setting, whereas I don't know how old you are, but I know, back in my day, you went to a dance or whatever, and the young ladies and the young men mingled. They would dance or, talk and, get your phone number, whatever the case is. And now sometimes you go to, certain functions and you'll see, everyone has their phone out and you're like, okay, is this a party or what? Everyone has their phone. So some of it is the culture. Some of it is we're just in a technological society. And some of it, we're just becoming just so dependent on it. And it's like, that's our entire world. Again, if it becomes where a person doesn't want to eat, they're up all night, they can't get sleep because they're on these phones or they're on the game or whatever, that's when it's becoming a problem. And I do know of a situation where a person, had a video game addiction, and it, because of that, they didn't get the necessary help that they needed, and it did cause a ripple, effect in their marriage, and it caused divorce. Okay, so remember I talked about in the beginning that we want to look at how is something negatively impacting your activities of daily living. Okay, is it impacting my appetite? Is it impacting how I associate with others? My behavior. Is it impacting my sleep? Do I not want to eat because I'm so in front of this game? All right, and then how long has what's been the duration? So you got to look at all those things before we say, okay, you know what, there's a problem here. Okay. Does that answer your question at all?
It does, yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, all right. So again, thank you all very much for logging on. It is indeed my prayer that something was said, that some information was given that can help you and your quest for just peace of mind and a healthy mind, healthy body. That's what we want to have. That's the last thing I just want to say. We want to have healthy minds, healthy bodies, and your mental health impacts your physical health. Good night.
Thank you so much for all the information. Very useful. We appreciate your
you.
time.
So glad I could be here tonight.
Us too.
It's very good. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
And I'll leave this up so anyone